Didn't Dave do a thumbnail like that back in the day?
Oh, when we used to go see everything in 3D?
Yeah.
Probably most of us did. I'm just, oh, hey, what's that? Oh, wait, it's just the subscribe thing that I'm going to put down there. You know, it was... So, yeah, we went to go see this in 3D, and if anything makes this movie feel like it should have come out several years ago, it's the fact we saw it in 3D.
Yes.
I didn't even know that this was still a thing that was going on, to be perfectly honest, because it feels like it's been a while.
Right.
I don't know if I've seen something in 3D since I've been living up here in Chicago. I mean, remember when we first started doing this? 10 years ago now. We used to go see everything in 3D, and none of us liked doing it. It was just like, well, I feel like we should review the 3D if it's any good anything. I honestly like the idea of 3D. I just don't like the idea of everything being in 3D. During that time, like 10 years ago, for every good 3D effect in a movie that you would see, if a movie came out in the 3D was cool, there'd be about 20 that weren't. So now going back and seeing this and getting the glasses out and everything and putting it on, I'm like, well, this is kind of taking me back a little bit.
A little bit of nostalgia.
Yeah, especially because the movie started and the 3D didn't work. And like 10 minutes in, they had to like fix the 3D on, and I'm like, oh man, all of this about this is taking me back. The 3D not working, and like having to lean over to you and go, hey man, hey, is it blurry to you too? Like, I didn't know if it was me, because I'm like, well, my eyesight's kind of gotten worse the last 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably because of all the 3D movies we went to go see several years ago. So I'm like, maybe it's just me. Hey, man, is it blurry to you? And you're like, yeah, it is. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm sure they'll fix it soon. There's fireflies on the screen, and I'm like, that's probably cool in 3D. I wouldn't know. But actually, a lot of the 3D was pretty good.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of Marvel movies that have like a sky battle in the climax of it. This one does wholesale have a giant sky battle in it with a sky base and all this stuff going on. I'm like, yeah, the 3D is really good in this sequence. Now, I hope that doesn't mean that everything else that starts coming out right now is in 3D. And I doubt that'll be the case, because when we were in there, I was going, okay, maybe this is why like I don't see a lot of these 3D movies coming around here anymore, because the theater itself, like the whole theater, was packed. Like, I went to use the restroom at one point. There's like a big line for another showing. Yeah. In our theater, like 4 of us. It's a giant theater. And
I was going to say, I think that's the thing. I think a lot of moviegoers are just over the 3D hype.
I think this is the 4th movie we've watched today, and I think we could safely say that this was the best one.
And I agree,
Between, you'll see these reviews coming up later. We did Teen Titans Go See Space Jam. I won't spoil what that's about.
Right.
Medusa and Hatched. And Marvel's Black Widow was the better of all those. It was like, I'll just throw that out there. It might be a controversial thing to say.
By leaps and bounds.
Yeah. And I mostly just thought this movie was fine. Like, I wasn't in love with it by any means. When I was watching it, I was thinking, if this same exact movie had come out, this movie is taking place like in 2016, and if that was around when it came out, I might have warmed up to it a little better. I did like it, but having it out now, I was watching it going, well, I already know what happens with this character. Yeah. And sure, that made a couple of sequences feel kind of tragic, but by and large, I was sitting there going, well, I kind of know where everything's going. And that did make it feel to me like I was kind of just watching an obligation film. Like, well, we gotta give Black Widow her movie, so let's do it now. Better late than never, I guess. So
you said 2016. Was that when this was made?
No,
and it was just
I think it was
shelved?
taking... No.
Oh, okay.
No, then I'd be really worried and be like, how bad is this movie? That it's this Marvel movie that sat on the shelf for 5 years.
Yeah.
No, because of the pandemic, I think it's just been on the shelf for a year.
Sure, yeah.
But that's when it's taking place, because it's taking place...
During Civil War.
Yeah. But it's one of those movies that I thought it was fine. It pretty much hit the check marks that it needed to hit to be perfectly serviceable. When the action's there, it's well done. It's entertaining. It's got really good side characters. A lot of the humor works. And then about halfway through, when there's actually a lot of family melodrama in the movie, that was working good with all of these actors. So to me, it was like... I didn't think it was like a top-tier Marvel movie by any means, but I thought it was good. It did what it needed to do to be perfectly good without me ever really feeling like it was great. It was just a fine movie to be like, well, this kind of feels like an obligation film, but as such, yeah, it's enjoyable. It's a likable movie.
I will mostly agree with you. I didn't really see it as an obligation movie. What I love about these Marvel movies, and Kevin Feige especially, and I've said this to you off camera before.
You're airing my dirty laundry.
Please bear with me while I repeat something I've said to you many times. They know how to make comic book movies. They feel like a comic book. You've got an issue of Avengers where an event happens, and then you've got these side titles of like Black Widow and of Thor that just all tie into each other.
Sure, they're perfectly planned movies.
Yeah. This was how I looked at it, was like picking up an issue of Black Widow and reading.
Yeah, I just felt like I would have warmed up to it if it actually came out around when it was taking place.
Oh, like linearly?
Yeah,
I see. I mean,
they're very good at making crowd pleaser movies. But with that being said, a movie that I liked a lot better than this was Red Sparrow with Jennifer Lawrence. That was like a hard R Black Widow movie crossed with something like Ilsa, Tigress of Siberia.
Really?
I mean, that movie pulled no punches on this particular type of world, these types of spies, and using violence and sexuality. It went for it, that movie did. And I'll admit that movie's more my cup of tea, really, than maybe it is for someone else. This, it's perfectly suited to be kind of an all audiences crowd pleaser.
Sure.
Whereas Red Sparrow's like, oh no, we're gonna get down and dirty with this film. That I like.
Leave the kids at home for this one.
Yeah, dude. Whoa. And what's hilarious about that, I remember reviewing that and thinking, there's going to be a lot of people that go see this that think they're going to be seeing something like a Black Widow thing, and they are going to be shocked when they kind of get this exploitation film that they're watching. And it was cool. I really did love that movie. In this, I really did like the side characters a lot, to the point to where Black Widow was kind of the least interesting character in the movie to me. Not that I disliked her or anything.
I can kind of agree with that. Yeah. It in a lot of scenes, it just felt like she was there.
Yeah. And she's not bad. Don't get me wrong. She's not different in this than you see her in any of the other movies.
But with the movie focusing on her,
she's the lead.
Yeah.
And the side characters are really standing. Florence Pugh is great in this film.
Yeah.
She's great. She has really funny lines, especially about like the hero pose that
she always does.
Yeah, that Black Widow does.
And the vest that she
vest. She was funny. She was very good. David Harbour is great in this film. As this, like, kind of out of shape, sort of washed up, like, Russian version of Captain America.
Yeah.
Red Guardian. He's great. And, like, they find him in a prison at one point in this movie where he's doing his own, like, arm wrestling competitions. he was awesome.
Oh.
And those were kind of carrying the movie a lot for me.
Yeah.
More so than Black Widow was.
Yeah.
She's kind of the standard sort of straight man, I guess, to all of these other characters that are a lot more interesting. It didn't make me dislike her character or anything like that, but it made me pay more attention to the others, I suppose, because they were so larger than life, and they're in most of the movie, really.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of sequences where she's just kind of on her own.
Yeah.
And Ray Winstone, like, does a pretty good job kind of sleazing it up a bit.
Oh, God,
the bad guy. The other villain, what was it, like Taskmaster? Is that the name of it? Was just kind of a stock forgettable villain.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. and I mean, the reveal with that villain was pretty cool, but I feel like they should have done more with that angle. Let's talk about that scene where she fights, what's his name?
Ray Winstone?
Yeah. I knew where she was going with that. Like, whenever he talked about the pheromones and everything, I knew, like, as she was antagonizing him and kind of getting him mad, I knew exactly what she was trying to do. Yeah, she's
gonna get the old man to fire Dick Jones. That way RoboCop can shoot him out of a window. It's easy. Like, I've seen this resolved before. I know what's gonna happen. Dick, you're fired!
Holy shit.
I would give this, I'd give it a solid B. It's fine. I don't think it's great. It's just good at being a serviceable popcorn action movie that you go see and you're entertained for a couple hours. It's not reinventing the wheel in this series. It is just a serviceable spy, big budget thriller.
I'm going to give it a B+.
Yeah.
Because it is. It's like getting an issue of Black Widow and being like, ooh, shit, I want to see what she's doing while all this Civil War shit's going down. Now, I agree with you. I think it should have been. I think it should have been released back in 2016, like during the Civil War time, because then. Yeah, that's whenever those comic books pop out. You don't see a comic book 5 years after an event being like, oh hey, you know.
And if there are, boy, are you about to get 1,000 comments telling you otherwise.
Let them come.
Yeah. So. What do we got next week? Escape Room 2 and oh shit, Space Jam Son. Space Jam New Legacy. But I got the Exoticon next weekend, and right now Space Jam New Legacy is not listed as getting a Thursday screening. So unless a Thursday screening pops up, I'm gonna be at Exotica Expo next weekend, so I wouldn't be able to see Space Jam till like that following Monday. But don't worry, I'll still be there for Escape Room 2. Alright, take care.